Welcome everybody to Get Some Games episode 3. I'm your host Sean, and this week I'm here with Ben.
Hey.
For those of you that don't know, this is a weekly video games podcast where we cover all ranges of any and all types of video games, what's currently going on this week in the realm of video games, and then have one major topic of whatever we choose. So, if you like that idea, subscribe to us right here on YouTube so you can get us in your YouTube feed every week, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/getsome_games to make sure that you're always up to date on anything and everything that we are doing. So, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with Halo 5 news, because Halo 5 is probably the biggest game out right now. Maybe Call of Duty, but Halo 5 is breaking records. So, Ben, are you excited about Halo 5 at all?
Well, I would be if I had an Xbox One.
Yes.
It looks good. I've been hearing mixed feelings about the game, but generally the reception is positive, it seems like. And
yeah, definitely. And the sales numbers are definitely showing that.
Yeah.
Halo 5 is the fastest selling Xbox One exclusive so far of its short life cycle, but it's the fastest selling Halo game ever.
Whoa. I definitely expected the first one. I did not know the second one. That's impressive.
Yep, so it's crazy because Halo 5 is only on Xbox One, and Halo 4 and Halo 3, well, Halo 4 came out just a few years ago, and it was on Xbox 360, and at that point, the sales numbers, like the amount of Xbox 360s out, are way, way more than the current amount of Xbox Ones out. So it's weird that Halo 5 outsold Halo 4 in its first week.
Yeah, that is very strange. I don't know what's so different that it like, or what the market, like, I don't know how it sold so much more. Like, do you have the exact numbers for the...
No, this is the thing. They didn't give us an exact number. Like, they didn't say Halo 4 or Halo 5 sold like 1.6 million or anything, like nothing like that. All they said was Halo 5 Guardians generated over 400 million, and that puts the Halo brand at over $5 billion sales of all time, which is crazy. But in 2012, Halo 4 generated 220 million in its first 24 hours and around 300 million in its first week. And like I said, Halo 5 is up at 400 million. So almost 100 million more dollars in its first week. That's crazy considering Xbox One's install base is so much smaller than the 360s was at Halo 4's launch.
Yeah, so it's like everyone who owns an Xbox One bought Halo.
Pretty much. Like, that's... Like, it's been out for almost 2 years now, the Xbox One, but still it's could still be considered early in its life cycle. So you got to think that people that have Xbox Ones right now are like the more hardcore Xbox fans. So they're gonna they buy an Xbox for Halo or for Gears or something like that. So you got to think like a very, very good percentage of the amount of the people that have an Xbox One are into Halo.
Well, so if 15 million people have an Xbox One, right? So
Which that's a pretty safe guess. They haven't released sales numbers in quite a while, but that's a pretty safe guess.
Well, if you just multiply that by the $60, assuming that they get all the profit, which I don't think they do because they have to give some to retailers and stuff.
Right.
$900 million. So about half the Xbox One base bought that game, which is still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Effective marketing, I guess. Do you know what the budget for the game was?
I don't know what the budget for the game was.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm sure they've said it somewhere, but I haven't seen anything on it. They also released like other types of numbers, like 21 million hours of gameplay have been logged already, and that was just, I think, 3 days after launch. So that's pretty impressive as well.
That is impressive. I wonder if those sales figures are including the microtransactions within the game.
Ooh, yeah, actually, that's a good point, because That's very possible because it just said that Halo 5 Guardians generated more than 400 million in global in global sales. So
Oh, sales seems to indicate.
it's just the game itself.
Yeah, but the rest of the wording's a little vague. I mean, still, that's great, and I'm glad for Microsoft because that's cool.
Yeah, Halo is like I do not have an Xbox One, and I probably won't be getting one soon. But Halo has always been that like staple franchise. Of course, everyone has great memories of playing local Halo multiplayer or playing Halo 3 online or things like that. So it's great to see a franchise like that important, but also an older franchise come in and do these kind of numbers.
Yeah, it's great. It speaks a lot to where gaming is at right now, I think. But I'm glad it's successful because maybe other games that are older can also continue to do well. But Halo's kind of been a mainstay
Yep.
for a while. So, anyways, that's good for Xbox. Good for Xbox One owners. Good for Microsoft. It seems like a good thing for everybody.
Yep. And even though me and Ben don't have an Xbox One and won't be getting Halo 5 anytime soon, we do have someone that we're going to be bringing in to talk about Halo 5 with us it's not going to be like an episode of this podcast or anything, but we'll have a video on our YouTube channel, on our Get Some Games YouTube channel, where we'll have a lot more information on that and insight and probably some gameplay as well.
Yeah, so look forward to that really soon.
Yep. And from there, Activision but they announced that they are creating a television/movie studio and having a whole new branch in that department. And so far they've confirmed that they are making a Call of Duty movie and they are making a Skylanders TV show.
Oh, Call of Duty movie.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I understand the logic behind wanting to do a Call of Duty movie, but is that like a franchise people would want to see in movie form? I genuinely do not know, so I don't want to make like any erroneous assumptions, but it seems to me like most people play it for the multiplayer. So making it a movie seems kind of odd to me. Like I feel like they own other franchises that would make better movies, like Warcraft. That's story driven, and they are doing that anyways. So, but that's odd. Skylanders is interesting. That doesn't surprise me. It'll probably be an animated thing, obviously, and targeted towards a younger demographic, probably.
Yeah, I can see something like Skylanders on like Nickelodeon or Disney XD or a channel like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I think the more games get entrenched in our culture, and I think starting with these huge franchises, that would be good. Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, like the video game movie debate and whether or not their video games need to be movies or just held as their own medium, or we don't have to do all this stuff and every video game movie is bad and blah blah blah. Like, that's true partially. Like, obviously everyone's opinions are different, but if they like for Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty is a good starting point because it's one of the biggest games in the world, so it has the instant name recognition. But it's also like almost each Call of Duty has its own story, kind of. I mean, like Black Ops 1, 2, and 3 kind of go together, but then the Black Ops is different than, like, let's say Ghosts or Advanced Warfare. So they can make just kind of like a typical action movie. Like maybe they make a World War II movie if they want to go back to like Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3 era. They can make a World War II movie that's just called Call of Duty. Like, I don't think it's going to tie into one of the video game stories or anything like that. So I think that's a good idea. And then Skylanders, like you were saying, I think that's a great property where they can come in and have a TV show with instant name recognition. Kids will probably love it. The voice cast is really good. So they've got like recognizable names where you know that it's not just going to be some like terrible cartoon that they just put out for profit like people think Activision does.
Yep.
There's actually thought and money being put into it, and I think it's a good start. Activision does have great properties. I'm excited to see what they could possibly do with Destiny, because Destiny is one of their few games that I love. So I think it's a good move, and it's going to make them a ton of money, which Activision is probably the best at out of any other video game publisher. So it's definitely exciting. we won't see anything soon though. They said that the Call of Duty movie will probably come out in 2018 or 19. So, like I've said about many other things in the past, it's hard to get excited about something that's so far away.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. So I actually have one surprise piece of news.
Sure.
So just released online. It's not really news. It's something that's really cool. So a week ago, there was like a mini fan film. Like it was like 11 minutes long for Metroid. It's called Metroid: The Sky Calls, and Rainfall Films Intergalactic Odyssey, and it was really really cool. And it has almost 1 million hits on YouTube right now, and it was like it by itself was probably better than any video game movie that's ever come out.
Wow.
It's really really impressive. It's like beautifully shot, and there's not much dialogue. I think keeping in the intergalactic Odyssey thing makes me think it was probably inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey to a certain extent. And so it's really really cool. Miller, you should check that out. And then whoever's listening, you should also check it out because it's really cool. But the reason I also bring it up is because I think Metroid would be a great property to turn into a movie. You can make it like an alien thriller type movie. So this is really really cool.
Yeah, I saw that that was there. I was actually going to ask you about it on the show because I know you're a big Metroid fan. Me, not so much. I enjoy the games, but like if they announced a new one, I wouldn't freak out over it or anything. But I saw that people were loving it, and it looked really interesting. I'll check. I'll definitely give it a watch.
Yeah, it's it's really really cool. I don't have much words to say about it other than that. It looks like the budget for it seems weirdly high. Or they just use the resources well. I don't know. It's just good.
Yeah, so many fan films that come out on YouTube now are just like crazy. Like that Power Rangers fan film that came out earlier this year
Yeah.
of like a mature, like adult Power Rangers thing that looked like it was really really well done. So people just with what you can make like at your own house with your own equipment is the quality is awesome these days. I love it.
Yeah. Yes. So this is about the quality of that. I'd say, if not better. But it's very very cool. So I just wanted to bring that up.
All right. So from there, probably the final piece of big news that we at least want to go over today is Blizzard at BlizzCon announced that Overwatch is coming to consoles. This news leaked a few days before, like I think 1 or 2 days before BlizzCon happened, but Blizzard officially announced that the rumors were true and that it is coming to PS4 and Xbox One next year. It's going to be a full like $60 game. It's not going to be a free to play or anything like that. Not much information besides that. I don't really know what else you need. They've talked about the game quite a bit. If you're unaware, it's a team-based shooter, kind of maybe in the realm of Team Fortress 2. I'm sure there's like millions and millions of little differences, but just to give you kind of an idea of what the game is, yeah, it's a team-based shooter like Team Fortress 2.
Yep.
Ben, I know that you know a lot more about it than I do. So if you want to like break it down really quick and let the people know why they should be excited if they're a PC or a console fan.
Yeah, so it's really cool. First of all, I don't think that we have a game like this on consoles. I mean, we have Team Fortress 2 on the computer, but I don't think consoles have really gotten the opportunity to play a game like this. So I think that in of itself is a good thing. But also, it's like I like how much personality there is in the game. I think it's a shooter, but it's not within the realm of the gritty Call of Duty or Halo, so it's different and unique in that sense. It's also kind of like a class-based system, so you work together and you pick a character. Like there's a big bruiser guy who uses a giant hammer. There's the one called the Reaper, and he has like these twin pistols, and it's really cool. And basically, you work together. It's very team based. I think what was it? Battlefield 2, Bad Company. I may have gotten that completely wrong, completely butchered it, but I know that was more team oriented than Call of Duty. But this is like very very team focused.
Yeah, Battlefield Bad Company 2.
Yeah, and there isn't much to say. I mean, Blizzard in general kind of comes with that stamp of quality. Um, so you should definitely give it a look if you haven't already. It's been pretty positive, the reception so far. There's a lot of footage on it on various YouTubers' channels.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of fun, and like you said, with the Blizzard stamp of quality, like I don't really think Blizzard makes bad games. Like I can't even think of a game that they've put out that was just good. Like they're all very high level, whether it's Diablo or Warcraft or even Hearthstone. Like everything they put out is fantastic, and I doubt this is going to be any different.
Yeah, fun fact about it though, it was originally going to be their next MMO, like different from World of Warcraft. I think it was called Titan at the
Yep.
time, or that was the working name, and then it turned into this, into Overwatch. So that's super neat. I like that they're kind of doing something different because most of their games have this RPG element to it. I mean, you have StarCraft and Warcraft 3 and those games that are RTSs, but they feel within like there's like a logical step into World of Warcraft from StarCraft or Warcraft, where Overwatch feels the most removed from those style of games. Um, so I like that about it, and it just looks to be like it's going to be really good. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it really. I'm very much looking forward to it, but now I'm not sure if I'm going to get it for the PlayStation or the computer. So
Yeah, I'm glad that it's coming to consoles. Like Diablo 3 came out on PC way before it came out on consoles. Um, so maybe that allowed them to be more comfortable with consoles now that they worked with them for a while. So that made it easier to bring over to the Xbox One and PS4. So that could have something to do with it. And of course, like just the install bases. So it's nice that the game itself will sell better and there'll be more people. Blizzard always does a great job of like post release stuff. Like they're still updating Diablo constantly, and World of Warcraft is still getting expansions and all that stuff. So it's great that they can like maybe if it was on PC, maybe it sells 1 million copies, but now that it's on consoles, maybe it sells 2 or 3 million copies. Obviously, I'm just bringing those numbers up out of nowhere. So just to have more people into it, putting more money into it, which can support it post launch for all the people that really love it in the hardcore, even if like in 2 years maybe only 5,000 people play it after that, but they'll still support it and make it go on for as long as people want to play it.
yeah, I get the feeling that it's going to be supported for a while. I mean, the I don't even know if the Warcraft 3 servers are still supported. I think they are.
Yeah, they are.
But for yeah, like for the like I remember playing a few years ago on Warcraft 3 the custom games, and they're still like they're not updating the game anymore, but they're keeping the servers open for the people that want to play still. And I think that's awesome. So I think Overwatch will probably receive a similar treatment, assuming it proves to be as popular as it looks like it's going to be.
Yep. My only like the only thing that I've seen like from people worried is that it's going to be too much like Team Fortress or Gearbox as Battleborn coming out in
Yeah,
games like that. But it looks like it's going to be different enough to where like it's obviously not a Team Fortress ripoff or anything like that.
yeah. Yeah, I guess that is a concern, but yeah, I mean, Blizzard takes genres, and then kind of makes it their own and gives it the Blizzard flavor. So I think it'll be different enough that it won't feel too derivative.
Yeah, and I like that they have heroes like where you play as like a specific hero or type. So it's like I like when I can connect to something more. I'm not just like infantry guy number 507. I'm like this person, like in Gears of War, you're Marcus Phoenix or you're playing as Dom or someone like that. So I like that they have actual characters and heroes like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to get you more attached to the characters too. I mean, in Battlefront 2 had kind of a similar system, Star Wars Battlefront 2, where you would pick um, a character and they would have like their own set of weapons. So that's kind of like what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
like that too. So not just like Call of Duty, everyone has an assault rifle and a sidearm or something like that.
yeah,
It's a
it,
little more varied.
it's a very different system, um, which is weird because the new Battlefront's kind of taking it more in the Call of Duty direction,
Yeah.
and then you have Overwatch is just taking it somewhere else. I don't know. Lots of good. I like that we're getting a wide variety of shooting games now. There was a long time where everything was brown and gritty, and now I like that this is happening.
Yep, and there's room for everything. Like if you want to play your Call of Duty, that's great. It'll always be there. If you want to play your Overwatch, then that's going to be there now. And if you want to play everything in between, the more variety, the better. You don't have to buy all of these games,
Yep.
despite wanting to. So yeah, definitely look out for Overwatch in June of next year. I can't tell. Is it going to be a simultaneous release between PC and consoles, or is it the console version that's coming out in June? I didn't see anything about that. I did see though that on PC it's going to be $40 and on console it's going to be $60.
You know, what I'm wondering is if they're only making it $60 because that's like the standard for PCs. Like I don't understand why there's a price difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. Like, yeah, console players are. I think we talked about this last week, where like console gamers are just used to spending $60 on a game, and if they see that a game's $40, they might think it's like a budget title or like not a full-fledged AAA game. They don't like they're not invested enough to realize that it's made by Blizzard and it's like a AAA developer. But
That's very strange.
yeah, I don't know.
So the PS4, they're all coming out on the same day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yep. So, I mean, that's a while from now, but I'm sure we'll have stuff from Overwatch on our channel for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a big Blizzard release, so there'll be Overwatch stuff everywhere by the time it comes out. And Team Fortress 2 is still one of the, like, I've been making this connection a little bit too much probably, but Team Fortress 2 is still one of the most played video games out there right now. So if Blizzard can get a game like that, another one of those games under their belt, then they're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean they have Hearthstone. Like every game that they have, so many people play. I mean Hearthstone has like 30 million active users or something insane like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're gonna do well.
Yeah. It seems like every game they put out is like a new phenomenon. Like StarCraft 2 is one of like the most well-known like esports games. And Diablo, even Diablo 2 is still like loved by so many people, even though Diablo 3 has been out for a few years now.
Yep.
And World of Warcraft it was like the biggest game in the world at one point, and it still has like 10 million players, and that game's been out for a decade.
Well, right now its subscribers numbers dropped a lot, but I can tell you from personal experience that's due to them kind of dropping the ball with this past expansion. They kind of stopped supporting it after 3 months.
Oh wow.
So I mean they didn't entirely stop supporting it, but it felt that way to a large portion of the fan base, and they shot back all the way back up to 10 million subscribers when it released because the first 3 months were awesome. It looked like it was going to be one of the best expansions, and then they just kind of stopped putting in content. They had some systems in place that they didn't improve, and now Warcraft is at 5.5 million subscribers, and it's totally possible they can gain it all back once the new expansion drops. But if they disappoint the player base in that kind of way again, I think they're going to lose a lot of people permanently. So I do hope that the next expansion, which was also gone into detail at BlizzCon, ends up being good. The Warcraft expansion cinematic trailer also dropped at BlizzCon, which was very cool. So if you even have a passing interest in Warcraft, you should check that out because those cinematic intros are always awesome.
Yeah, like the Diablo 3 cinematic intro looks beautiful.
Yeah.
They do such a good job with that. Unfortunately, we have kind of a shorter amount of time that we have for the show today, so we can't get into all like the nitty gritty details about BlizzCon. There was so many just like random Diablo updates and Warcraft updates and just all those things. So if you have any interest in that, definitely check out everything that Blizzard announced at BlizzCon.
Yeah, I mean, we could have done a whole video just on BlizzCon.
Yeah, easily. So, but in the interest of time, that's all we've got for the news for this week. But we still are, of course, going to have our major topic of the week, in that we want to talk about the Wii U this week and Nintendo's future. I think the stigma around the Wii U is mostly negative in the sense that it's not selling well. It's selling worse than Dreamcast. People might think that, and I don't know if games have come out for it. But I think today we want to have a short discussion on whether or not we personally think that the Wii U was worth the buy at all in general, if people are too hard on it, if it's not nearly as bad as we seem, as people make it seem, and what we think about the NX. So, Ben, first question right off the bat is you own a Wii U. Do you regret buying it?
I don't regret buying it. That said, I don't feel that Nintendo so far has properly supported it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of good games, but the problem with these games is that many of them are niche for one thing. Like Splatoon, I was surprised sold as well as it did. Um, but that's actually a really fun game. But like things like Bayonetta and like the releases that and Star Fox and the stuff that they've been trying to hype up, like those aren't going to sell millions of copies. You know, they're not going to move units. No one's going to buy a system for Star Fox. I don't think. I could be completely wrong, but that doesn't seem like the type of game that people would buy the console for. Um, they haven't released a Zelda game yet, and it's been out for like the Wii U's been out since what 2012, three
Yeah.
years now.
Yes.
Like that's not good.
Unless you count Wind Waker, of course. But that's just an HD remaster. So
Yeah, the one 3D Mario game we have is a good game, but it's basically about as cookie cutter for a 3D Mario game as you can get. It has a lot of creative level design. When I say cookie cutter, I mean visually. Visually, it's not as striking as something like Mario Galaxy, which felt really ambitious. Still a very good game, to be completely clear. um, I bought a system for a Metroid game, and it's still not got a Metroid game, and it's starting to look more and more like it's just going to come out on the NX. And as a huge fan of Nintendo, that almost feels kind of insulting that they would do that. I imagine people who bought an N64 might feel similar at the time, though N64 has an amazing game base. I think the problem with Nintendo is that the only good games on it, the only great games on it are ones that they have published themselves or made themselves. And I don't think any game that they've released so far, when you see it, it grabs your attention immediately. Um, there's a lot of good games, but it's weird. It's this weird juxtaposition where you feel like there are definitely objectively a lot of good games on the console, but you still feel like it hasn't been supported in the way you want it to be, which is odd. It's a weird contradicting feeling to have. Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart are both great, arguably the two best entries in their series. Smash 4 to me is up there with Melee. I mean, it's different, but I think it's better in some respects. And then the Mario Kart 8, I think is the best Mario Kart game, hands down.
I agree with that.
And it's just I don't know. I don't like that. I feel like maybe I'm partially biased because I'm a Metroid fan and I really really wanted a 3D action exploration action adventure Metroid game, and I don't feel like I've been getting that. I haven't got that. And with their whole E3 this year, they announced basically a bunch of spin-offs and then just didn't announce anything huge. They didn't even talk about Zelda. So maybe they're gonna release Zelda on Wii U and their next system. But I think I don't know. It feels like in some ways they've dropped the ball, in some ways they haven't. I think the sales number kind of reflect their their relative failure with the Wii U. I don't know. I don't want to seem overly negative because I do like the console and I do think there's a lot of good, but I can't say that I'm not disappointed in some ways.
All right, that makes sense. I also have a Wii U, and I definitely don't regret buying it. I love the console. I bought a Pro controller, so like right off the bat, so I didn't have to deal with the tablet controller, which I really don't like. But I love amiibos. Like I own 10 amiibo, and I love like even if they're just like set pieces in my house, I think they look awesome. But the Wii U, I don't own very many games for it. I've owned it for about a year and a half now, and I really don't have that many games. I think its catalog as a whole is like extremely weak. But the games that I have, I love so much, like Bayonetta 2, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, of course, Smash, and Mario Kart, Mario 3D World, and just I think the games that I bought they make it worth it, even though there's only like I just named like 6, and then I'm leaving out a few others. For a whole console cycle, that's pretty weak. Like if I got through, if when PS4 was all said and done, and I looked back and I thought like, I'm glad I bought that console because of these 7 games, I'd be pretty upset. But for some reason, it doesn't seem so bad for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like even though looking back, like GameCube and N64 and Super Nintendo, there's like an insane amount of incredible games for those consoles.
Yeah. And the GameCube didn't sell that well either, which I think is a point a lot of people forget.
Yeah, historically, each Nintendo console has sold worse than the one before, except for the Wii. Yeah, except for the Wii, which is like, that's the Wii is the anomaly where it's like completely different than everything else. Is the outlier.
Yeah.
But like the Super Nintendo sold worse than the NES, and the N64 sold worse than that, and the GameCube was worse than that, and now the Wii U is worse than that. So they're on a slow decline. Hopefully they've got something up their sleeve with the NX. I think they really are I think they know what they're doing. They've come out with this new Nintendo account, and they're making smartphone games and with DNA. And I don't know. Part of me thinks that Nintendo is going to come out and change everything and be great again. But then another part of me thinks that they might just stick to their old ways. Like, you buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo games, and I think it's too late to like change that. Like, I can't see people only own, like if you only own a Nintendo Wii U for this console, you miss out on like 90% of the great games that come out. Like,
yeah,
you don't get Grand Theft Auto, you don't get Tomb Raider, like not even talking about exclusives like Uncharted or Halo. You don't get you don't even get Madden or Call of Duty. Like Black Ops 3 isn't coming out on Wii U. Madden 16 didn't come out on Wii U. Like those are just like staples that come out every single year, and they don't even bother to put them on Wii U.
Yeah, Nintendo's problem to me. See, first of all, they're not even catering to their whole Nintendo demographic. Like they haven't released a Metroid game, they haven't released a Zelda game. Like Metroid, whether or not it sells very well, is still like one of the biggest Nintendo properties. And Metroid, the fan base, people will buy a console for that game, even if itself doesn't sell that great. Zelda is a giant, is a monster in the video game world, and they haven't released a 3D Zelda game for that. Didn't even talk about it last E3. My issue with Nintendo is that they seem to be going for hardware gimmicks, and I don't know if that's going to change with
the NX.
With the NX, I know that they're going to have some sort of hardware difference, but I think that they really, really just need to focus on showing that it's on the par or better than the other competing competition, performance wise and graphics wise and things like that. Because at the end of the day, people just want to play good games and have a console that has a lot of those good games. And I don't know what their business philosophy is over there. I mean, I know that they want to make good games. There's been a lot of good games, but I think that, I don't know. It almost feels like some of their mindsets are primitive almost. Like the way they tackled the whole YouTube thing is really bad. And I think that they see it as a good thing. Like, oh, we're giving you 70% of the profit, and I'm like, well, that would be a good thing if Nintendo, the Google AdSense already didn't pay, if it paid you much better. But Google AdSense doesn't pay you very well, so now you're taking 30% more off of that, and you're just pissing people off left and right. And I think I have hope for the NX. I will always have hope for Nintendo because I love them as a company. The only reason I'm being so critical is because I love them so much. You know, often people say you're most critical of the people that you love. And I think that holds true for a company like Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. Like, I love Nintendo. I've owned every Nintendo console. Like every Nintendo console. I can't think of one that I haven't owned unless you count, like, I don't know. But I think, just to play devil's advocate here, I know a lot of people think, like, say that they want a console to compete with PS4 and Xbox One, get third party support, and like be like look as good as those consoles. But like, I don't know if Nintendo, they always talk about is they're not competing against PS4 and Xbox One. Like, do we need a third console that is just another PS4? Like when when Xbox One was first announced, it was going to be an all-in-one entertainment center. It was going to have all these other things and be pretty different than a PS4. And then everyone was like, "No, that sucks." So then they're like, "Okay, never mind. It's just another PS4." Like the Xbox One and the PS4 are very similar now. Yep. So do we need a third one of those? Like, do we need a third console that you can buy Grand Theft Auto on, or do we need a third console that like plays all these third-party games, but then it also has the Nintendo exclusives? It's hard to, and you're splitting up the fan bases even more. So I don't know. It's a tough spot because like a lot of like me, even if they did go that route and just made a console that was very similar to PS4 and Xbox One, I would still only buy it to play the Nintendo games, and the PlayStation would be my primary console.
Yep, that makes sense. You were right about that people buy Nintendo consoles specifically to play Nintendo games. I just think they need to give people a reason who might have bought a Nintendo console but didn't because they weren't getting all these other games to buy it. So they just need competing hardware. But I think that Nintendo should definitely try to do their own thing still. I think that innovating with hardware can be a good thing, but it needs to not feel like a gimmick. It needs to feel like it makes sense and it's seamlessly integrated, you know?
Yeah.
It needs to feel different, but not so different that it feels stupid and pointless.
Right.
You know, with the NX, what I think it's going to be is they're going to have tablet integration. I don't think it's going to be a separate handheld thing. Though, if they completely replace the 3DS and Nintendo Wii U with just the NX, that could be really cool. Actually,
yeah, that's my prediction. I don't. That's not like an original prediction or anything, and I know this is what a lot of people think, but I really think that the NX is going to be the next DS and the next Wii U. So like it'll be your home console and your handheld.
So you could play all the games that would come out either at home or on the go.
Yeah, you can play, you can bring it on the go somehow, and you can hook it up to your TV and have a controller. So there's no like, oh, Mario Kart 7 is on the 3DS, so you need a 3DS to play the new Mario Kart. It's just like, no, here's Mario Kart 9. You can play it on the go. You can play it at home. It's got Wi-Fi. So you can play online everywhere. Maybe they get crazy and they give it 4G and you can play gaming online literally anywhere, like the Vita. Except Vita was 3G, so you couldn't play games online. But
yep.
But a lot of people's 4G connection is better than their home Wi-Fi connection. So like you could definitely play video games online over a 4G network. It would just take up quite a bit of data.
Oh, they would have to set up a whole infrastructure for that too.
Yeah. So I'm not expecting that, but I really do think, like, very strongly that it'll be the next 3DS and the next Wii U, and it'll just be the whatever they call it, the Nintendo whatever, the
right.
NX.
Yeah, I definitely that would be cool. I am looking forward to what they do with it. So in some respects, I think the NX is good that they announced it because that way they're maybe addressing the problems people had with the Wii U and then going to completely tackle it there. But on the other end, many people just drop $300 on a Wii U and then you're already going to release a new console when you haven't fully supported it in the way people want you to with the Wii U. Like, you're making me drop more and more money, and that's what I don't like. So for a while I was thinking, well, if they dropped the NX, they could have a buy-in system where maybe you could get $100 off or something if you turned in a Wii U. But I don't think they'll do that. I know
GameStop usually does something like that.
GameStop does do that, so that could be a thing because then I would feel less bad about it, you know?
Yeah, like let's say the NX is $400. You trade in your Wii U and get like $100 credit for it. If you like purchase maybe $150 if you do it towards the NX, because I think if you trade in a Wii U at GameStop right now, I think you get around $100 for it. So next year that'll be less, but if you do it for the NX, then it have that kind of promotion where they give you extra for it.
Yeah. Now it probably won't be backwards compatible. Um, so,
It could be. The Wii U plays Wii games, and the Wii played GameCube games, but
but I don't think that they're gonna have a gamepad thing.
yeah, that's the only issue is that the games that use the gamepad will be
Oh,
like unplayable
but you
unless you have
know,
like a tablet or
yeah, I
something.
was gonna say if it was a dual thing where it was basically taking the Wii U model and then just making it better. So like the tablet that comes with it actually functions as its own portable system
Yeah.
that you could take anywhere. That would be very, very cool. And I think we just said that, but I think that could make it work. That can make backwards compatibility work because then you have the gamepad functionality built in also.
Yeah, I just can't imagine Nintendo dropping the ball with this console. Like,
They have so much writing on it.
yeah, like I can't in my head I can't think of what it should be or what it should look like or any of that stuff, but I know that they do. Like they've already announced it, so they're well like they didn't announce it, but they like said that it exists. And they said that they're talking about it at E3. It's almost a guarantee that they're going to officially reveal it at E3. People think it's going to come out next holiday season. So I really believe in it, and I really think that it's gonna sell. I think it's gonna, even though it's coming out not that long after the Wii U, I think it'll instantly show like, yes, this is gonna be way more of a success than the Wii U, and you're gonna get your Zelda. You're gonna maybe Zelda's a launch title. You're gonna get your Metroid. This is the console. Like you're gonna be safe with this. We've got maybe a 10-year life cycle. We're
Yep.
gonna it sells like 10 million copies maybe in its first year. So like it's so just to get like to blow the Wii U out of the water. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being way too optimistic, but and everyone just bought a PS4 or an Xbox One, so maybe that hurts it too. Like they've got to be different enough and have they got it has to have a strong launch lineup.
Yeah. If they came out the gate and were like, okay, it's gonna have a new Metroid game, new Zelda game, new Mario game as the launch titles, then I think they would do very, very well.
Yeah.
Do. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm also apprehensive just because you know Wii U's only 3 years old. Like, I mean, console life cycles are usually like 6 to 7 years,
Yeah,
but
that's about the average.
it just it feels like the Wii U just came out and it doesn't feel like enough. I feel sad. I feel good about the purchase. What I don't feel good about is dropping another $300 on something so soon. I don't feel ripped off with the Wii U, I should say. But I do feel like it's a little soon to be asking people to drop 300 $400 on a brand new console when many people don't feel as if you supported it fully,
Yeah.
even though there's a lot of good games.
Right. And for example, like Splatoon sold like really really well for not just a new IP, but a new IP on a console with not a very big install base. It sold almost it's getting really close to 2 million copies sold now. And Nintendo did great marketing it, and it's a really fun game. They had a multiplayer shooter without being like a super like adult themed. Like I don't know if Nintendo is ever going to put out a game like Halo or Call of Duty where it's like super gory and anything like that. Not that Halo's super gory.
Well, Metroid could probably be gory without pissing anyone off.
Yeah, Metroid could. They could do something like that.
It's already
But they
much more
found
adult.
yeah, but they found a way to do a multiplayer shooter would still have it fun and fun for anybody of all ages, and like that game just screams Nintendo. So I think they really need to do that more. Like Splatoon is a great start, but that's like their first new big IP in a long
Yeah.
time. You can't just have one big new IP every console cycle. Like that's just you can't do it. Like PlayStation already has 3 new big IPs just this year.
Yeah.
And for Nintendo to come out with one in a whole generation, like that's bad.
Yeah, I think the problem is that I think they need to outsource their properties to other developers
Yeah.
more than they do. I think Retro Studios made the three Metroid Prime games, and those are lauded as some of the best games ever. So I think they just need to feel good about doing that more. Um, yeah, like I almost think that they should give Zelda to someone new. Um, Not because they don't like all the Zelda games are great. It's nothing to do with that, but I think it could breathe some life into the franchise in a way that Nintendo kind of I think Nintendo gets serious tunnel vision and they don't always pinpoint the reasons games don't work. Like for example, Metroid Other M got good reviews critically, but the fan base really didn't like it from a story perspective and a partly gameplay perspective. And then you have like Miyamoto, I think, or someone big at Nintendo saying, "Oh well, now we have two things that work. We have the Metroid Prime style, and we have the 2D side-scrolling Metroid game that work." And I'm thinking when they say that, the reason Metroid Other M wasn't successful has nothing to do with it being a 3D game, a third-person perspective game. It has everything to do with the quality, and it seems like they avoid saying that their games aren't successful because of the quality. They pinpoint other reasons that they don't work, which I think maybe that's just a corporate thing. Like you can't talk bad about your own games, but that seems like to me that they don't always identify very well what their problems are. That was kind of long-winded. I don't even know if you really got what I meant,
No, it's
but
okay. I did. I got
um,
it.
so I'm hoping that with NX they're addressing the right problems, bringing it back to that, that they're addressing the right things and not misguided notions.
Yeah, and of course, like, no matter how great the new console is or how bad it is, we still know that Nintendo like makes good games. So, but I don't know if we can just have another console of the hardware is not that great, but the games are great, like we have with the Wii U right now. Like, no one's complaining about the quality of the Wii U games. Everyone is upset or not. Like, people talk bad about the hardware itself. Like, Wii U feels like a really dated console, like especially compared to Xbox One and PS4. It just seems so dated and not intuitive and just so basic that they need to really step their game up on that. I need to feel like like if it comes out late 2016, it needs to feel like I'm using a piece of hardware from late 2016.
Exactly. The problem is that if they come out graphically and it's on par or slightly worse, or I think it has to be enough of an improvement that when inevitably the next, well, the PS4 and Xbox One only came out a year after the Wii U, right?
Right.
So actually, the timeline for the NX isn't as terrible as it was for when they released the Wii U, which was a console slightly better than Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PS3.
Yeah.
So I think it needs to be slightly better. They need to have a buffer zone where it's good enough that it'll be able to compete with whatever's released next by PS4 and Xbox One. Maybe slightly worse than whatever those consoles end up being. I don't know. They're like on a different schedule completely. It's really weird.
Right, like they're in the middle. That's why they kind of said they're not competing at all. Like if it's the same as PS4 and Xbox One now, then like obviously the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox are going to blow it away. But do they care? Should they care? I don't really think so.
Yeah. So if it's a hybrid system, that'll be really cool. I hope
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I think that can be its saving grace because it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't look any better than PS4, but I can take it on the go. Holy shit. Like that.
Yeah.
That'll really get people hyped for it. That'll get me hyped for it.
And you don't have to drop $200 or whatever on a PS Vita. You could just pay the $400 and you get everything. And then you also get Zelda, Metroid, and Mario right off the bat.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, I got a 3DS and I want the new Mario Kart, but they're not making it for Wii U. So, I don't know. I already bought the Wii U. I don't want to buy another handheld. It's just like, or I don't want to buy a handheld as well. It's just like, you got everything. Everyone is all together in one fan base, one account, one friends list, one everything.
You know what I think would also go a long way is because PlayStation has this problem right now. Is if they launch the console with like a huge backlog of their older games available for download right away, like you have all of the big GameCube games, all the big Wii games, all the big Wii U games already immediately available for download, and you don't have to wait years and years for them to fully flesh out the their virtual console.
Yeah, that would be insane. Like, even if they didn't do it right away, because I understand why you'd want to fully like drag it out a little bit to keep people interested and to keep them on board. But like, can you just imagine at E3, they just come in, they announce the NX, they say that it's whatever it is, and they announce that it's coming out this year. They just have all these huge announcements, and then they say like, at launch, every Wii U game will be available for download. And next year, every Wii game and N64 game, and then the year after, every GameCube game. Like, even if they have to drag it out, if they announce it, like, those are huge mic drop blockbuster announcements that'll just
Yeah.
have everyone freak out and everyone will go run and buy one.
Yeah, Nintendo has a lot riding on their next year's E3. They have to really drop a bomb on us, like a
Yeah.
nuclear.
I hope they do. I love their Nintendo Directs, and I love how they're unique and they can have all these crazy editing, and like, I love how they do it. But I really want them to have a live press conference just so you can hear reactions. Like, when, like, the greatest video games press conference of all time, at least in my opinion, is when Sony just completely obliterated Microsoft with their PS4 announcements. And I don't think it's the best because, like, ooh, Sony over Microsoft, blah blah blah, console wars. Not because of that, but because just it seemed like with every sentence that Jack Tretton said, the crowd like exploded in applause, like you're watching a WWE event where just like everyone's chanting PlayStation, everyone's screaming, going crazy. It's cheaper than Xbox One. You can play used games, you can trade in stuff. Like, and if Nintendo can just get that kind of hype and that kind of reaction, it'll like really, really sway everyone back towards them again, and it would just be an awesome moment.
Definitely. I really want to see them succeed. I want them to be number one again.
Yeah,
Because I
and
love
they
Nintendo.
and they have a new president, so they like maybe he's coming with great ideas.
Well, he's already said he's kind of keeping in line with Iwata's um, ideas. Maybe he was referring
his
to the
plan.
NX, because I think Iwata was a smart enough person to recognize some of the faults, even if they weren't vocally acknowledged to the public.
Yeah, definitely.
So that'll be interesting. I believe he's only a temporary CEO though. I think it's a couple years. He's going to help get the company back to where it needs to be, and kind
Right.
of got it back after Iwata's unfortunate passing, and I don't know, take it somewhere great. And I'm very eager to see where it goes. But I think that that wraps it up about right.
Yeah. That that's all we really have to say about the Wii U, at least for this discussion. We could probably go on forever, but that's all of our show for this week. So thank you very much for listening to Get Some Games. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at @GetSome_games. We also stream games quite a bit on twitch.tv/GetSome_games. I stream Rock Band. I have a WWE My Career Mode series that I've got going where I talk about what's currently happening in WWE and follow the story of my career mode. I'm going to be streaming Fallout. We're both going to be doing awesome things with Battlefront when that comes out, and then Ben is going to be doing some great commentaries on classic games as well, and anything and everything that we decide to do on our channel. So, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, just eager to see where games go.
All right. So, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, we're out.